Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start. It's 1:30. I would love to introduce Leslie Merkel. She is currently a GIS specialist for GFR Forestry Consultants, working out of the Wilmington, North Carolina office. Her work involves creating land management maps, performing drainage analysis, and developing GFRs, ARC Online application. Leslie received her bachelor's degree in environmental science with a minor in forestry from Virginia Tech in 2023. She is here today to present Leveraging Technology in Forestry Operations. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Bear with me since I'm about the height of the computer. So thank you for attending the presentation today. My name is Leslie Merkel. I'm a GIS specialist with GFR Forestry Consultants. And today I'll be discussing how GFR leverages technology in forestry operations. So first, I would like to talk about GFR. GFR Forestry Consultants has been consulting landowners with their forestry needs since 1964. We provide landowners with their forestry services, including timber sales, forestry consultants, and rural real estate. We enhance technology, take innovative approaches to traditional services in forestry, and incorporate proven science with operational expertise. And just to focus on client goals, our registered and certified foresters apply a progressive professional perspectives to ensure consistent results and forging lasting personal relationships with our clients. So GFR manages about 500,000 acres of land across the eastern seaboard, ranging from South Carolina all the way up to Maryland and Delaware. Our two main categories of clientele are non-industrial private landowners as well as corporate entities. So a little bit of a comparison of acreages between the two is that our private clients make up about 366,000 acres of that 500,000 acres, with 4,000 private clients, and quite a few of them are active right now. So, and about 131,000 acres are from 6 corporate clients. So we have a variety of projects going on. So the biggest achievement for this is that we are able to manage this amount of clients with a employee base of less than 30 people due to leveraging the technology which is in our operations. So the technology is oftentimes Survey 123 using Power Automate and ArcGIS Online as well as field maps. So forest management, for those that may not be as familiar, is a long-term cyclical process with a lot of complexities involved, especially when you have thousands of active clients all needing unique consulting on their unique properties. A lot of our management does include southern pine plantations, and we would consider this the majority of the work that we focus on. So to better streamline our processes with all of our land, we do try to organize everything into this majority, and that's how we focus our workflows with this majority, so that way we have more time to spend on the more complex minority projects. And so you can see here that the cycle tends to happen or occur over 25 to 35 years, and this is a cycle, so it'll repeat over time. And you can see that in this instance it starts with a final harvest or a clear cut, which is or more popular term, followed by reforestation, and then we'll go into different silviculture or just management activities, which just helps improve our forests. So for this presentation, I will be walking through how we use the technology in our day-to-day processes, starting with a final harvest. So we start our projects by submitting a new project form through Survey 123 in our ARC Online webpage. And for our purposes, we like to capture as much information as we can about a project up front, because the foresters are already planning out how the future management of these stands will look going down the road. So they account for that when they include information in our Survey 123 forms. So in this case, that data will include client information, landowner objectives, the harvest information, location, and any supporting documents that'll help, such as plats, deeds, and/or surveys. So once the Survey 123 form is submitted, a Microsoft Power Automate flow is triggered. And leveraging Power Automate is really where we have been able to become extremely efficient with our manpower and administrative tasks related to our projects. We are currently using Power Automate to populate a series of Word documents based on different conditions and fields that were included in the survey that the foresters have filled out. The Word documents are then added to SharePoint, tasks are added to team planners, and assigned accordingly. These documents are then emailed out to the foresters working on that project and additional necessary administrative teams. This has really improved our internal communications between whoever submits the Survey 123 form as well as to whoever needs to be on that project. And I do just want to stress how important Power Automate has been in kind of decreasing the amount of time it takes to do a lot of our administrative tasks. So all of these timber sale management occurs in our timber sale dashboards. Within this dashboard, projects can be managed based on project status, which we have organized into tabs at the bottom of the dashboard, depending on if a project's in its administrative stage or if it's in a harvest stage. This structure makes it easy for both foresters and administrators to track the progress of harvest projects. The dashboard also has filters, a map, feature information, and an editing form, which is also a Survey 123 form on the information tab on the right side. This dashboard is also where we have embedded content where the foresters can request contract maps and submit harvest inspections, which are both, again, Survey 123 forms. So harvest inspections, as I just mentioned, are submitted through a Survey 123 form on our timber sale dashboards, but they can also be submitted in the field in field maps by our foresters as they're on our property sites. For harvest inspections, the forms are actually populating a related table that is related to our main timber sale data, just because we are going to have a handful, up to like 10 or 15 inspections sometimes related to one project. So it's really helping organize everything with that. Once a harvest is complete, a final harvest inspection will be performed. I will say it is our standard to reforest an area once it has been clear cut, so that is the normal. And for that, we have structured the final inspection form to show conditional silviculture questions, which will based on that 100% field, as well as if they want to include a silviculture activity in the future, as you can see on the left side. Using these new silviculture fields that populate, Power Automate, again, is used to populate silviculture project documents and notify the silviculture team. And this allows us to get a head start on our reforestation seasons, just because we're already doing the work as it comes in, rather than just one season. So just as a quick definition, silviculture is the art and science of controlling the establishment, health, composition, and growth of forest lands. So these activities may include planting or reforestation, prescribed burns, timber stand improvement, and herbicide. There are other forms of silviculture that we conduct, but they are dependent upon the needs of a specific forest stand and may happen during any time of our forest cycle. And these are, again, just to improve the health of our forests that we are managing. So after a harvest is complete, we move on into the reforestation and silviculture phase of our forest management cycle. We will start the reforestation, and by preparing the site, which is often herbicide or a prescribed burn, just to clear out any unwanted vegetation, so that way our seedlings that we put in the ground have the best chance of survival, because we want those as healthy as possible. Okay, and site prep occurs from the spring until the fall, and then planting occurs after that from December to March. And since it is currently March, we did just finish up a planting season. So I'm happy to say that our operations planted over 2 million trees, and, or in other words, over 3,700 acres of land in just 10 weeks. So you can see how with less than 30 people in our company, we are truly able to accomplish those things with the technology that we're using. So similarly to timber sale projects, our foresters start a new project by filling out a Survey 123 form. Power Automate will then draft documents and upload the necessary information to teams, then send emails to the silviculture team. From there, the project is, of course, automatically populated in our dashboard, since that's just a standard dashboard in ARC Online. And this dashboard is where a silviculture team manages the project statuses, details, and invoices. So this silviculture database is primarily structured in related tables. This has been a newer development within our database, but it really allows us to get a lot of different information, because similar to timber harvest, we can have a lot of different similar records to one project. So in silviculture's case, we may have 1 to 5 silviculture activities for one project. So essentially we'll have a site prep, which is herbicide, then we have the planting, and then we may have a mechanical activity, all related to each other. So that's why we have this dashboard formatted as it is, with some different tabs at the bottom. And then you can see that we also have an embedded Survey 123 form again, and as you've probably seen or noticed, we do heavily use Survey 123 in our operations, from the new project forms to editors. And in this case, because we have multiple related tables, we use a lot of conditional questions, and that will populate different questions. And you can see how in the activity screenshot that you can see where you can add multiple activities just here in the dashboard. So after reforestation is complete, we will just manage the stands just for their health, which that may be thinning in order to get more sunlight into the stands, or prescribe burn to improve like longleaf plantations. So whatever the stand needs. So in summary, forestry is a long-term process, so keeping data up to date and accurate is critical. It is often that several years will occur from when we complete one activity project and where we need to pick up that data again and look at that data a couple years down the road. So the integration and leveraging of technology has been integral, and this technology again is Survey 123, Power Automate, ArcGIS Online, and field maps. And we use this general flow for all of our timber sales, silviculture. We also have some forest management plan projects, but everything. And this is truly what is allowing us to manage so much land with such a small amount of people. But again, Arc Online is a tool. So some challenges, just to note, that I have come across is that because it is a tool, the implementation and getting people to use these workflows is difficult, to say the least. Sometimes I benefit from the fact that my coworkers do enjoy using this information and these tools and these applications, because they know it helps them in the long run. And then another challenge is we are heavily reliant on these applications and technologies. So whenever a workflow goes down or there is some road bump along the way, it does take some time where I have to drop everything else I am doing to make sure everything is running smoothly. So thank you for listening to my presentation today, and I will now be happy to open up the floor for questions. Yes.
Can you go back to the slide where you show the workflow that you have? Like, it was very early on in your data set.
This one?
Yeah, that one. So when you're moving stuff from Survey 123 into Word, are you what do I ask exactly? Are you moving both the primary data and the related tables into like a Word document?
Yes. So we have, and again, he asked if we're asking or bringing in the related table information as well into the Word documents. But this is all kind of happening in Power Automate right here. But yes, we have, for example, the harvest inspections that I said. Those harvest inspections are populating a Word document. So we have information from the project as well as the related table.
And the data is living up on the AGML, the original Survey 123 data.
Yes, so Power Automate has a couple connectors that pulls the data from Survey 123 with that. Yes, it's very helpful. Yes, yes.
Relatedly to Power Automate, is all of this built with like the free tier tools in Power Automate, or does some of this require some of the like premier functions?
Okay, so he asked if this is the free kind of version of Power Automate or if there are any licenses involved. We do have I believe it's called a premium license in order to use some of the ArcGIS connectors.
So are you pushing data? Are you like editing any sort of, or is there like Survey 123 to Power Automate and then back to AGOL going on? Because I know like at least in the state, I work for the state, and our infrastructure, we can trigger a Power Automate flow from Survey 123 into Power Automate, and then like do stuff with that data.
Mm-hmm.
But I've like used it to format and send emails kind of thing. But I don't know. I know like if you want to use it as a webhook and like push things back to AGOL requires like premium content. You want
am not entirely sure because, as you know, Power Automate can get into the weeds very quickly.
Doesn't sound like you're not doing data editing of what was your original GIS data in another format, right? Because that's what you're asking, like whether essentially there's an offline update outside of the AGL environment. But it sounds like you're pushing basically reporting documentation through your flow.
Yeah, so we use it to, as far as Power Automate, any of the editors that we use, it's really just to get that initial documentation because some of our other Survey 123 forms, the form itself is just going ahead and editing that feature service.
Thanks.
Yes.
The obvious answer, but are the inspections done in person or do you use LiDAR or drone?
Yes, so she asked if the harvest inspections are in person or in drones or another format. But our foresters, so we are primarily comprised of foresters. They are in the field when a harvest is active. So they're going to go out and make sure that everything is up to code and that we have all of our set standards. So that's when they bring in their field maps and pull these surveys up on their phones and submit it that way. Yes.
Being that they're in forestry areas, have you had any like location or data issues with your maps? And I know survey ones are pretty much offline, but are there specific like hardware that they're using specifically for location or anything like that?
Yes, so we asked if there's any other, like if we're using like offline maps or any other technology. So we do have a version of offline, like we call it our offline field map. That is what they're using when they don't have any service in the field. So I believe that they can still make changes. We have some kind of edit lines, if you will, that they can provide to me, and they'll make them and then I'll get it pushed out once they reach service. But they also have other instruments, actual like GPS instruments that they'll use and just take that data later and pull it up into the data. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are there any other analysis you're doing like outside of Survey 123, like surface area?
Yes, so I have done a few drainage analysis because we have a lot of work in eastern North Carolina. So we're primarily in North Carolina. So a lot of the eastern properties they're flat with like 2 feet maybe of elevation across 100 acres. So sometimes when they need to plant or reforest, there will be ponding in a specific area of a tract. And that's when I come in and pull the elevation data and see kind of what the trend is for where that water is pooling. And the information will use that elevation information to decide what type of trees they want to plant, because some pines are better suited for waterlogged areas as opposed to others. Yes.
We have another minute, a little over a minute for questions, if anyone else has questions. Then they'll give you 5 minutes to go to the room. No other questions?
Well, thank you again.